Okay, so welcome to our online Soul Collage, Intro to Soul Collage series. This is class 1 and it's being recorded on May 16th, 2015. So an overview of what today is going to look like. We're going to start with, I'm going to start by leading us in centering so we come present. And then we're going to do a round of introductions. I see there's only a few of us here, so that'll be fine. You can talk as long as you want. Then I'm going to give an overview of Soul Collage. That's the basic meat of today's session. So we'll be talking about the different ways to make cards, different kinds of cards you can make, how to lay out the cards. And I'll be stopping periodically throughout for you to ask questions. And then I'll give some home play suggestions for the next 2 weeks before our final class, and then I'll give the closing blessing. So let's come to center, and you can close your eyes or you can look around or anywhere. You may want to put your hands over your heart or in prayer position, or just open palms on your lap. Now we're just going to take a breath in. Oh, maybe do that again. Let go of anything that is clinging to your mind right now, any responsibilities or anything on your to-do list, and just bringing yourself fully present to this next hour and 15 minutes or so. And as you breathe, making space inside of your heart for all your inner parts. Making space inside your heart also for everyone else who is on this call with us, either those of you called in live as well as those of you who are listening after the fact. There are 17 of us in this circle, and if you can, just imagine yourself sitting in a circle of 17 women or from all around the world, Australia, the UK, New Zealand, and from all corners of the US. And we're connected by this miracle of modern technology. So as you breathe in creativity and joy and self-acceptance. And breathe out any voices in your head that get in the way of that. Taking a moment to acknowledge the part of you that led yourself here to this class. The curious one, the creative one, whoever it was who got you to sign up. Just take a moment to acknowledge and thank this inner part. And in this silence, this inner stillness that you're creating for yourself, listen to these words by Meister Eckhart. A human being has so many skins inside, covering the depths of the heart. We know so many things. We don't know ourselves. Why 30 or 40 skins or hides as thick and hard as an ox's or bear's covered the soul. Go into your own ground and learn to know yourself there. Go into your own ground and learn to know yourself there. And taking one or two more soft inner breaths, going into your own ground, making this commitment to knowing yourself. And then when you feel ready, coming back to the class, opening your eyes if your eyes were closed. So we're going to do a round of introductions now. And I'd like for y'all to share your name and where you're calling from, as well as your reaction to the Susie Wolfer video, if you had a chance to view it, if it was helpful. And also what brought you to Soul Collage, if you'd like to share that. So I'll go first. You all know my name, and I live in Beverly, Massachusetts, which is a little bit northeast of northeast of Boston. Excuse me, I have allergies. Allergies. Need some water. I hope you all have water and tea and pillows and everything to make yourself comfy. So I was drawn to Soul Collage in 10 years ago, so it was 2005 that I attended my first class. And I actually went to Portland, Oregon to attend the class because there was nothing happening on the East Coast at that time. There was an art and soul retreat being offered in Portland. And I was signing up to take classes to kind of nurture my inner artist. So I was taking classes in watercolor and mixed media and altered books by leaders in the field, and it was really exciting. And so I was going through the course catalog, and one of the classes being offered was Soul Collage. And I was just like, if anybody could have created something, like just for me, I felt like that was it. My two favorite words, like all in one thing. It was really the coolest thing. I was like, I have to take that. It was just that inner, like, I think it happens to a lot of people when you see the word Soul Collage, and I went, it was a full day class, and it was love at first card. The very first card I made, I had a huge shift happening to me, and it was just amazing. So that's how I came to Soul Collage. So, anybody else? Who else would like to share? Just click that little mute button. There you go. Barbara.
Okay, this is Barbara Teckel. I am from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. And Soul Collage. Well, I was sort of like you, Anne-Marie. I was at a friend's house planning a retreat, a young girls retreat, and I saw two cards sitting on her shelf, and I asked what those were. And she just sort of said, "Oh, those are my Soul Collage cards," and it was the words, that word that caught me. And I immediately went home after that, and I Googled Soul Collage. Couldn't find anybody in the area that taught or facilitated it, so I actually just jumped right in and became a facilitator last November. But for me personally, I don't have anywhere around here to go to workshops, so I was really glad that you offered this online. So I guess the curious and the creative part is why I'm here.
Right.
But yeah, I've really been in transition probably for, I would say, about 3 years. And I've taught a few Soul Collage intro already, and got lots more on my plate to do. So I'm excited about it. So I'm glad to be here.
And were you able to watch the Susie Wolfer video?
Oh, I did. Yep, I watched it when I first learned about Soul Collage, and then I just watched part of it again this time. But that's an awesome video.
Yeah, it's very comprehensive. Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, Jan, did you want to say hello?
Yep. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm on my phone. I'm doing this from my phone because my iPad wasn't charged and my computer doesn't have a webcam.
Oh.
So I'm Jimon, and I'm from Clinton, Connecticut. That's down on the very southern part of Connecticut at Shoreline. And wow, Soul Collage. So we have a retreat center just in the next town over from me called Mercy by the Sea, and I take a lot of classes there, and I teach some classes there. And in their catalog for the coming months, there was a Soul Collage workshop, but it was for people who had previous Soul Collage experience. It was going deeper with Soul Collage. And I was reading the description, and I was looking at it and thinking, well, that sounds a lot like vision boards, which are something that I've already made. And I thought, I think I'm just going to sign up for that workshop anyway. And then I thought about it some more. I thought, I should probably Google Soul Collage and see what that is and see how similar or different that is to what I've already done. And immediately when I got to the Soul Collage website, I was just so amazed. It exactly the thing that I had been looking for. I've just come through several years, 3 or 4 years of really intense caregiving for my mom, who just passed away in January. She had some very serious dementia issues, and it was very, very difficult. And in the month of April, I was in a project called International Fake Journal Month, where you journal as another character. And I used that journaling, art journaling process to be a character who was going through a similar situation. So I was able to do some self-discovery that way. And when that was over, that's when I found SoulCollage. And I knew that was the next step for me, for self-discovery, for healing, and for kind of putting myself back together. And like you, my very first card, I've made, a stack of cards, I don't know, maybe 10 or so. And the very first card, I was like, wow, this is so, so powerful. And I just have absolutely loved it and enjoyed it. And I can't wait to learn more. I can't wait to do it all.
Oh. And so I missed that. Did you take the class at Mercy Center?
I didn't take the class because when I got to the SoulCollage website, I realized that vision boarding and SoulCollage are very similar in that you intuitively gather images and you put them down. But the vision board is really for a specific intention, something that you would like to see manifest in your life.
Right.
And so you create this large collage, which you then keep in an area where you'll see it just out of the corner of your eye or just pass by it every day. And as you're reminded of those things, they begin to manifest in your life because they're constantly into your consciousness. But the SoulCollage is incredibly different. And I love archetypes, and I love working with archetypes, and I love animal totems. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is the place I totally need to be to explore all of those things.
Right.
So it's already been very exciting for me.
And did you have a chance to watch Susie's video?
I didn't. I didn't have time. I've been actually on your website of just sucking in everything I can and watching so many videos. I did not get to that one, though.
And you've been making cards already, so you might not need to watch her.
I have a whole stack. A whole stack right here. Whole stack.
All right.
But I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing it. I'm just trusting the process,
Right. So did any of you bring the images with you that came in the starter kit? Yeah. So at the heart of SoulCollage is this process we call I am the one who. And yes, Linda, it says Linda Smith raised her hand. Okay. Linda, we can hear you. Or we can't hear you, I guess. All right. I think she's on the phone. Okay. So at the heart of SoulCollage is this process called I am the one who. And what we do is we go into an image, we pretend we are the being or animal or whatever being is on the card, or a tree or a mountain. And we speak in the first person from it. So we have to activate our imagination and our intuition in order to do that. I've got a stack of images over there. So let me just go grab one. I should have been better prepared. Okay. Here's one. My little rose heart over there. I should have brought this with me. So here's an image that I've recently been drawn to. I don't know why. More the head part of her and the look in her eye. So if you're brand new to this and you've never done this before, what I'm going to do is pretend that I am this woman and I'm going to speak from her point of view. So if I were her, I'd be saying, I am the one, I might want to look at it here instead of, I am the one who is dressed like spring. I am the one who is adorned in green and pink flowers. I am the one with a serious look on my face. So that's pretty simple. You can, sometimes when you do this, you get really deep really fast, and sometimes it's more surface description. So I'd like to invite the two of you who are here to hold up one image that you're particularly drawn to, and to do that just to kind of warm up to the energy of the process.
You
have to pick one. Pick one. Who's ready?
I have one.
Okay. Yeah, just hold it. Isn't this cool? We can see what we're talking
I know,
about.
this is awesome. I love this.
Okay.
So, I am the one who wants to look like this. I am the one who has always wished I could have really long hair. My hair just does not grow long. I am the one who wants to live my authentic self. I am the one who wants to present myself to the world as daring and free and open and an amazing spirit.
Excellent. Thank you. That was fun. Jan, do you have one?
I do. Can you see that?
Bring it up a little closer. Oh, it's a person in front of like doorway.
It's a young girl in front of a sort of a Moroccan screen. And this image I've been looking at this image for a few days now. And I don't really know, but this is what I feel intuitively. That she says, I am the one who is half hidden. I am the one who holds secrets, and I am the one who stays on the sideline sometimes and is shy and is peering out, but not afraid. But I'm the one who stays hidden in the shadows.
Excellent job, both of you. Thank you. That should give anybody listening in a taste of the beauty of what you can do with Soul Collage, and how this process, the I am the one who process, sets Soul Collage separate from other kinds of artsy processes that are out there. Sina talks about activating the three eyes: imagination, intuition, and images. And those are the three eyes of Soul Collage. So you've just done that with those images that you have. Now in Barb's image there, sometimes when you have an image that has two people on it or a group of people, they might be speaking, we are the ones who. They might choose to speak as a couple to someone or to you at some point in the future, or not. Maybe not. Maybe the man will never speak and it's all about that woman. So it's just different ways to look at it. And when you have an image with more than one being on it, today, see, I don't have a good example here, but today the woman might be speaking. Like 5 months from now when you draw it, you might be really drawn to the trees in that picture that you had, Barbara. Or Jan, you might be really drawn to what's on the other side of the window might be speaking to you. So it's not ever set in stone how the images speak to us. So I'm going to do the spiel that I give at my intro classes. And when I do my intro classes, I have a flip chart, an easel with pre-made signage on it to remind me what to say next. So I've got photos of those and you're going to see them on your screen. So let's see if we can make that happen. There it is. Okay. Can you see the sign that says welcome to Soul Collage?
Yeah.
Look, we can see can you see each other in the corner there?
Yep.
Okay, so welcome to Soul Collage. And the card on there that I put on the intro page is kind of small, but that's my intuitive self card. I am the one who falls back and trusts my intuition, or I'm the one who moves forward with spirit. I can't point to it, can I? With spirit. Oh, can you see my mouse pointing?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, cool. All right. So I am the one who moves forward, protected, yet open to the light that's drawing me forward. So I put that card there to remind me, to tell people that this is an intuitive process. It's all about trusting your inner knowing, your inner world. And Soul Collage was created by Sina Frost, who is a therapist and artist, and she even has an MDiv degree from Harvard, and she lives in Northern California. She's in her 80s now, so she doesn't teach anymore or lead the trainings anymore, but she's still very active in our Soul Collage community, and she still blesses us with her wisdom every month in the facilitators newsletter and in the general newsletter that goes out to the Soul Collage community. So I say that just to clarify up front to anyone brand new that I did not create this. It's a process created by Sina Frost, and she has a book called Soul Collage Evolving that you can find on Amazon. And if you really want to pursue this, I suggest that you read that. So one of the things that drew me to this is that you don't have to be an artist to do soul collage. For example, I can't draw a cat to save my life. I mean, I could draw it, but it wouldn't really look like a cat. But I can express my love of cats and my affinity for an animal totem cat and my love for particular cats in my life through my deck. And that's one thing that really drew me to it. So another thing that's important to notice here is that soul collage has a certain way that it needs to be spelled because it's a trademarked process. That little R with a circle after it means that it's trademarked by Sina Frost and by Soul Collage Inc., which is the company that runs the whole business. So if you're going to be writing on Facebook about soul collage, or if you're going to send people emails, or if you're writing up flyers for a workshop, you want to make sure that you always spell it with a capital S and a capital C and as all one word. And that's another way that we honor the process and that we keep the process separate from like soul cards or other kinds of soul processes that are out there. So the next sign that I show people is it's all okay. And we want to remind you that there's no right way to do soul collage. There's only your way. And even if you make a mistake, like you see there's a mistake on this chart that I couldn't fit the Y completely, it's all okay. It doesn't matter. When I was first starting out leading workshops 9 or 10 years ago, I was making a chart. This is like the third rendition of this flip chart, and that I carry with me to my intro classes. And the first time I did it was way worse than this. I think the Y was hardly even on it at all. And I was so mad at myself when I got to the end of that page. And I was going to decorate it all pretty, but the Y was not even on it practically. And then I realized, oh my God, that's the whole point. So I decided to leave it that way in future renditions to let you know that there's no way to make a mistake. It's all okay. Now, this is my favorite Sina Frost quote from her book. It's by separating out all our parts that we become whole. And if you read the book, or when you read the book, or if you've already read the book, you probably highlighted and underlined, and you might have some other favorite quotes. And this is my favorite quote because when I first began Soul Collage in 2005, I was still struggling with all kinds of things like the backlash from the step family years, as I call them, and also still trying to heal from some cancer, the cancer treatments that I've been through in 2001 and 2002. There were so many parts of me floating around that, I was in therapy trying to work through all these things. And when I found Soul Collage, it was like the perfect way for me to give image and voice to all these scattered parts and pieces. And I found that in naming all these parts and pieces of me, I was able to become whole. I feel so much more integrated and whole today than I did when I first found this. So that's my favorite quote, and that's my favorite, I think that's the most powerful thing that Soul Collage has done for me. Okay, so there are 3 aspects or 3 levels of Soul Collage. I like to think of it like layers of, say you're out in a garden and you're digging layers down deep. And the first layer up top where you plant the seeds, this is where we're creating cards, making them to our heart's content and making them to make us feel good. And I always say, if all you ever do for the rest of your life is just make these cards, you will have that experience of feeling whole and satisfied and grounded and joyful, because it's it's just an amazing experience to make the cards. If you want to dig a little deeper and go beneath the surface a little and get to know yourself a little better, we get to the second layer, which is taking an individual card that you've made and working with it, building a relationship with it. We usually do this by journaling, and we'll be doing some of that in the next class. We'll be doing a lot of that in the next class, actually, getting to know one or two of our cards pretty intimately. And we do that by asking the card questions, and the card answers us in its own voice. And then if you want to go even deeper than that, to the deepest level that SoulCollage can give us, and where we access our inner wisdom. Of course, we're accessing our inner wisdom in this level and this level too, but even deeper of accessing our inner wisdom when we do a card reading with our deck. And we won't get to that in this class because this class is too short. And but doing a card reading is where we go to our deck and we ask a question about our lives. And we draw 3 cards, or 4 cards, or 2 cards, and the cards help us answer the question. So that's a way of stretching our imagination and intuition even farther. So that's the first part of the little spiel. I want to ask if anybody has any questions at this point. Please feel free to jump right in. You have to take the little microphone off if you want to ask a question.
Anne Marie?
Yes.
Linda.
Oh, hi, Linda. I can hear you.
No, on my main computer, I wasn't on the phone, I was on the computer, but it must not have a webcam, so I went to my iPad and I'm now on.
Oh, I can see you.
You all, but you couldn't hear me, or you couldn't hear me, so I'm here. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. Tell us where you're calling from.
Yes, this is Linda Smith from Tallahassee, Florida. I've been doing SoulCollage for about a year, and I've worked with Anne Marie throughout this whole time. I'm happy to be here.
Great. Welcome. I'm so glad you were able to. We can see you.
Oh, you can see me too?
I can see. It looks like a photograph of you.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know. I'll have to figure the other part out, but this is progress. Thank you.
Yes,
Nice.
yes. But you can see the screen and you can see the rest of us. So that's.
Yeah.
Okay, so if nobody has any questions, we're going to move on to, there are 2 ways to create SoulCollage cards. We can make them intuitively and we can make them intentionally. Now, I'm going to come back out and give you some examples. Oh, here. Oh, we have somebody else calling in. Oh, that's good. All right. So when I say we make a card intentionally, you can make a card to honor one of your inner parts. You can make a card to honor someone in your family or a pet or someone you love who has died. You can make a card to honor animal totems or archetypal energies. And so here are just a couple examples of cards that I made intentionally. And that is when I have the idea in my mind first. I'm going to make a card about the part of me that is now a grandmother. So I go searching for images and I put together this card. So that's one example of an intentional card. Here's a card I made to honor my inner queen, the queenly part of me. An intentional card to honor my vulnerable child. Woo, my inner vulnerable self. So these are concepts that where the idea came to me first, and then I sought out images to kind of put that on a card. One time I was working with my therapist on these ancient fears that were getting in my way. So the shininess is a little annoying here. So I put together, it took me a while. Sometimes it takes a while to find the right images to give image to something you're working with or on. But it's a very powerful experience to make a card intentionally. Now, intuitively, what that means is you go through images, the images we sent you, or stacks of magazines, or anything you have lying around, and you just find images that you're drawn to. Sina likes to say, let the images choose you. So you kind of need to let your left brain and your inner critic out in the parking lot, send them to Starbucks for some tea, and you just stay there with you and your beautiful right brain intuition and just take images that you love. And these can be darker images. They don't have to always be beautiful, happy women. They might be, I have one in my stash that I've had for years and I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. It's a woman like holding another woman's, you know, with a knife to her throat. And every time I see that, I'm like, what on earth could that be? But it's in my stack of images because I was drawn to it for some reason. And someday I'll figure it out. Or I won't figure it out, but someday it will come to me. So here's a card I made intuitively several years ago, and it kind of baffled me because it's a mother and a child, and I already had cards for my inner mother, and I already had an archetypal card for divine mother. But when you make a card intuitively and then you do the journaling with it and you ask it some questions, it will start telling you who it is and what it is in your life. And this woman, and it was the woman, it's always been the woman usually who speaks to me, was saying that she is also divine mother or archetypal mother, only she's the aspect of nurturing. And the other card I have for divine mother is more about the birthing aspect of mothering. So that was a very interesting experience for me. And then this is one of my favorite intuitive cards that I made years and years ago. And an example of a card that still really doesn't have a name, but I love her. And she speaks to me when I draw her in a reading or something, but she doesn't really have a name. She kind of defies description, this one. And that's okay. It's important to remember that when you make cards intuitively, you might not know for a long time or ever who they are or what they're saying to you, but they can still speak to you and they can still offer wisdom. They still have plenty of wisdom to offer. So that's 2 ways to create the cards. Does anybody have any questions at this point about that? The intuitive or the intentional? Okay, so moving on to supplies. So let's talk about this a little bit. You need several things in order to make the cards. You need mat boards, but I'll say you don't really need mat boards. You need something to make the cards on. We sent you mat boards as part of your starter kit, but many people around the world don't use them. You can use cardstock and then laminate it. You can use there's some facilitator somewhere who puts all her, makes her cards on CDs, old empty CDs. So you can have a round deck. They don't have to be rectangular. You can be square or triangular. You can make them on regular copy paper and laminate them so they're stiff and sturdy. Some people use watercolor paper. Some people prefer the size 4x6. So you need something to make the cards on. You need scissors or something to cut the images with. And different people have many different, happinesses with their scissors. So whatever your favorite ones are, that's the ones that you will use. Also, I might add here that you can get a really interesting look with a card if you rip the images instead of cutting them with scissors. It gives a whole nother feel to the card. We need some kind of adhesive, and the adhesive it's a big topic of discussion in the SoulCollage world. There's pages and pages of discussion on the Yahoo groups about what you use for adhesive. So again, it's totally going to be up to you, and I suggest that you try different things. There's rubber cement, there's glue sticks, there's Yes glue. There's repositionable kinds of glue that lets you move the images around, and that's kind of a cool thing to play with too. And you need images, of course, and some places that you would find them would be in magazines, and you can get magazines pretty easily just by telling family and friends that you're looking for magazines, because then they don't have to recycle them. You go pick them up. Any place that has a waiting room, like a doctor's office or a nail salon or a beauty salon, has tons of magazines, and they don't like to drag them all to the recycling center either, so they're usually happy to give them to you. I like to go on to a place called FreeCycle. I think it's free, FREECYCLE.org. And what that is a series of Yahoo groups all over the country, and you could post a note that says, I'm looking for magazines. Does anybody have any magazines they're cleaning out their house and want to get rid of? And then people will respond to you via email, and you just go pick them up. It's kind of a nice little network to be a part of. So images, you know, use images from calendars, postcards, junk mail, catalogs. Images are everywhere, you'll see. And I always say, after I started SoulCollage, I never read a magazine the same way again. I have to, you know, if it's something like Oprah or a magazine where there's good articles, I have to like have a conversation with myself before I open it. You know, we're just going to read this now and we'll look at the images later. Because otherwise I would never read any of the beneficial articles. So the frame is also important, but some people, we sent you a frame, I believe, in the starter kit, where you can easily make one by just laying your mat board down on a piece of cardboard or cardstock and cutting out the center. And if you saw Susie's video, you saw how she used it to help the reporter or the person who was interviewing her lay out the card underneath. So I find it really helpful, but I know there are plenty of people who come to my workshops who, you know, just don't like it. So try it once if you've never tried it before and see if it helps you. If you don't like it, you don't have to use it. There are lots and lots of other tools that you'll find soul collagers use. Some things that I like to use are a brayer or a little like room key from a hotel, or, you know, an old credit card or an old Barnes & Noble gift card, because they have not sharp, but a flat, straight edge, and you can smooth out any bubbles that the glue has left. And the brayer will do the same thing, or a rolling pin. So there's many, many different, you know, other things you can use. And you don't have to just use magazine images on your cards. You can use art supplies. You can use mixed media, scrapbook paper, or yarn, or feathers, or you can use photographs that you've taken yourself. So there's no limit to how you can do this. So there's no right way to do it. So let's see. So that's materials and supplies. Now let me come back to here. Whoops. Back to here. Oops, there we are. So I wanted to talk about some kinds of cards that you can make with the images, and people usually find this helpful to hear. So you could make a card with just one image on it. Here, if I tip it like that, that's my I can do it myself, damn it card. And when I saw her, I was like, oh my God, I know her. No, I'm not asking for help. That's an important netter for me. And there was nothing else I could find to put on that card but her. So you have permission to just not even make a collage, but just to put one image on a card. I have several, or more than several. I have a lot like that in my deck. Another thing you can do is take one image, like this woman, and cut her out of whatever advertisement she was in or whatever article she was part of. And so I was really drawn to her many years ago. This is one of the first cards, maybe one of the first 10 or 20 cards I made. And I was just really drawn to her. And but I didn't like where she was, so I cut her out of it. And then I held her up against many different backgrounds before I put her here. And there's just a little inner jolt you'll feel. Oh, that's it. That's the one. And glue her down. So and eventually I call her now Fire Diver, and she's the one who isn't afraid to dive into fiery emotion. And that was really an important card for me. So you can just, and here's another one like that. This one's a little more simple. It's just a woman kneeling on a prayer bench praying. I made this intentionally. I wanted to make a card for the part of me who believes in prayer and how I feel when I'm praying. So that's another instance where you take an image, cut it out of wherever it was, and hold it up against some other backgrounds. They're very powerful cards. I have a lot in my deck like that too. You could put 3 or 4 images together. I had all these women in my stack at one point and realized they all felt the same to me. They were carrying similar energy. I call this my bodacious bod card now. Or you can, I don't even know how many images there are on this. There's probably 10 or 15 images on here. This is my inner good mother card. It's all about being a good mother. And so that's just lots and lots of images put together. You can make cards that are funny and silly. It's not all about, you don't always have to be serious. It can be funny. I don't know why I don't drink, and I really don't like martinis, but he's in a martini glass. But he isn't talking to me about drinking. He's talking to me. When he talks to me, I am the one who savors life. I am the one who just leans back and lets myself enjoy life. There's sort of like fiesta umbrellas behind him. So if there are images that you're drawn to, you know, for whatever reason, you have a strong emotional reaction, you laugh, it makes you want to cry, or it makes you want to tear your hair out. Any kind of a strong emotional reaction like that is an image you should harvest for yourself. You can make cards to honor darker parts of you as well, shadowy parts. This is my, I can get it away from the, it started out as my rebellious child, but there's adults on there too, which I find very interesting. And that has a lot of different images too. So it's okay to honor parts of yourself that you're not happy about, because they all deserve a place in your deck, because they're all, you know, a part of you and a part of your life. Okay. And then also when you're gathering images, I like to remind people. So for instance, if you see this image in your stack and you're like, oh my God, she's so cool, look what she's doing. But then it's like, oh my God, she's got a dirty meatloaf pan. What? I don't want that. But if you cut her out and throw away the meatloaf pan, imagine what she'd look like if you put her against a mountain or the cosmos or the sun or whatever draws your fancy. So my words of wisdom, and the same with this little girl, you might be drawn to her immediately and then go, oh, well, I don't care about life cereal. But don't throw it away. Take it and cut her out of it and throw away the cereal and put her on something else. So in other words, don't be too quick to judge. Don't be too quick to throw away an image because of other stuff that's in the image that you don't like. Like this guy here is really cool. And you might say, well, what am I going to do with Intel inside on my card? I don't want that. But what if you cut away the Intel inside logo and had him holding something else? That would be really cool. So that's the idea. Be open, use your imagination and intuition. What's that famous quote? I think I'll see what happens. I'll just try it. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I'll just try it and see. And that's, you know, the part about activating your creativity. So before we go into the card making steps, what kind of questions have come up for you at this point? Since I'm doing all the talking.
Anne-Marie?
Yes.
I'm wondering about, some of your cards had quite a few images on them. And I do realize there's no rules, But I kind of struggle with that one for myself, and then just having taught a few workshops on it, as far as, because I thought we were only to use like one background and one energy and possibly another supporting object. But I mean, can you just talk a little bit about that? Because I guess I'm kind of confused how to understand it and then explain it.
Right. Well, you have a good point. Xena definitely recommends that each card you make have only one kind of energy on it. This is hard to do when you're making the cards intuitively, though, because you're just taking what you love and putting it all together, and who knows, there might be opposing energies on the card, and that's okay. But for these cards here that I shared that have a lot of images, is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
I chose specifically all images that held the same energy. That's every image on there is of a good mother, a mother being gentle and loving. And this one is every image is somebody or something being rebellious, except for the rabbit, which I put the rabbit there to represent my vulnerable self that my rebellious child tries to protect. So I just put that there to remind me of that.
That makes sense. I kind of thought that when with the inner mother, I thought that's what I thought. I sensed, well, it's one energy really, even though there's all those different images. So
right.
Makes sense.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So there's no set way, but it is helpful when you're making them intentionally to keep one energy per card. Like, don't make, like Xena, the best example I heard Xena give once was, we all have an inner child. But that inner child has so many different faces. There's a happy inner child, there's a sad inner child, there's an angry one, there's a, maybe one that was abandoned or betrayed and wounded, and a magical inner child. You may want to make one card for each of those energies instead of trying to depict inner child all on one card with all those different, because they each aspect has something else to say.
Yeah, right. Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. That's a good question. Anybody else?
Anne-Marie?
Yeah.
Can you talk about if you don't have a name for it and you don't know who your card is, then how do you use that for the card to speak to you? Right? So if you don't know that the card is I am the one who is this netter,
right.
Then how do they speak to you? How would you do that?
I just do it when I draw a card from my deck and I don't know who it is. I just take a breath and, like, I'm ready to listen. And I do it in my journal. So I'm doing the writing, and I just start the pen going, I am the one who, and let him or her tell me.
So it's whatever at that moment, whatever it brings to you.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Whatever in that moment they have to say. And sometimes we'll get into this on the 30th when we start really working with the card. But what you sometimes can start out very descriptive, like I did with the green woman here. I am the one wearing green and pink flowers in my hair. I'm the one with a serious expression. But if I were to give myself 10 or 15 minutes to keep going, it might, something deeper might come up besides that. But that's a good way. If you're kind of stuck, like, oh, I don't know who this is, just kind of take a breath and change that thought from, oh, I don't know who this is, but to something like, oh, I'd really like to know who this is, or I'm ready to know who this is. And then start doing the I am the one who.
Okay, good.
Good question. Linda, are you still with us? Do you have any questions? I see you down there. I don't know why.
I'm good. I'm with you.
Okay, I can see you. You know how to unmute yourself. All right, good. Okay. Oh. All right, so let's go back to this and the sharing of the screen. So that was the supplies. Okay, so the card making steps. We're just going to talk about them because it's hard for me to show you how to lay out a card with this system because the camera doesn't, just focusing on my face. That's why I asked you to watch Susie Wolfer's video. So if you've never made a card before and you're watching this, I really urge you to watch the Susie Wilfer video first. It's 60 minutes, but it'll be well worth your time if you're confused about how to use the frame or how to go about laying it down and gluing it. But these steps here we can talk about without watching the video. The first step is to gather images. Now, your home play between now and the 30th is going to be to make as many cards as you feel led to. So that's 2 whole weeks. And I scheduled it that way on purpose so you'd have a good amount of time. The first step there is the most important step. It's more important than arranging it and gluing it. The more images you have, the more you have to pick from, and the more you have to choose from, the more you have to lay out. So I would, if you've never done this before and you don't have a lot of images, I would spend the whole first week of our in-between time gathering images. So you've got a really nice big fat stack. Now, you're not going to use them all right away. You might not use some of them for years, but you've got them and they're yours because they called to you. So once you've got, let me just look at my notes here, something I forgot. And again, I just want to remind you, it's okay if you're drawn to an image that has a darker energy to it. It doesn't mean you're going to have to make a card in these next 2 weeks with it, but just keep it anyway because it's going to have something to say to you eventually. I've had images sitting in my drawer for years, and then suddenly I'll see a movie and there'll be a character who reminds me of one of those images I've got sitting in my drawer, or I'll read a book, or somebody will just say something in passing and I'll be like, oh my God, I've got an image for that. So just hang on to them. Don't let them go. They'll speak to you eventually. Trust the process. That's my best advice. So once you've got a nice big stack of images, then before you make a card, what you want to do is sit down with them, spread them out on your bed or on the floor, on the kitchen table, a big flat surface. Somebody told me once she did this in her bathtub without the water, but that was the biggest place she had to spread out images. And you're going to like look at what you've got. It's sort of like treasure. It's really kind of cool to see them all spread out. And then just sort them into some piles. And nobody can tell you how to do this because they're your images and it's your world that's being depicted. So sort them into piles by color or by energy or by what they are, or just because you think they go together without even knowing why you're putting them together. So once you've got a big stack, then go ahead and sort them. And then what you have to do is choose a pile and put the rest away for a little while. And then you just take out the frame if you're going to use the frame, and you start moving these certain images that you feel like go together around. And as you're doing that, you'll see, oh, I need to add something, or oh, this one really doesn't fit on this card, and you move it off. It can take hours to make one card, or it can take 5 minutes or less. There's no set timing on this, and it's not a competition. So if you're doing this with others, you want to just stick to your own, like put the blinders on and just do what you need to do. I've led 6-hour workshops and someone hasn't even put together one card yet. They're still working on that one card. And I've led 6-hour workshops and somebody made 20 cards. So, and it will vary too from, day to day or week to week. So over these next few weeks, you may find your process where you're just like taking forever to do anything. And that's okay. You just be with that. A few months from now, you may try again and you may be whipping them off right and left, zip, zip, zip. So everybody's different and it's all okay. That should be our new SoulCollage slogan. Everybody's different and it's all okay. Also, my little funny thing to say at this point is there's no SoulCollage police who are going to come to your door and find out if you're making these cards right. Are you using the frame? Did you get enough images? Nobody's going to check on you. It's all your own inner process. Although I will say that They're not SoulCollage Police, but somebody from SoulCollage Inc. probably will send you a lovely little email if you are putting the word SoulCollage up online on a blog or on a website or on Facebook without spelling it as all one word with a capital S and a capital C. And they're not police, they're very, very nice. But it's just our way of honoring the trademark. All right, so let's see. I don't think we need that anymore. So what kind of questions do you have now about the card making? It's only 5 o'clock, so we still have time if anybody has questions or if anybody wants to share a card that they've already made. You guys seem like you've already made cards. And I've shared quite a few of mine, so.
I have a question for you, Emily.
Yes.
Now, you've been making SoulCollage cards for a long time. When you start to amass them and you have like more than 100, do you work with all of them? Do you separate them out into sort of sub decks or what? Because I just know that I'm gonna have 500 like very 2 years on it. So what do you? I mean, and I love making them. So I think I was really glad to hear you say make them till your heart's content. Just keep making them. But then when you have stacks and stacks, how do you manage that deck?
That's a very good question. Sina suggests, and I follow this. Oh, there's that glare. That you create a reserve deck. So now that I do have a couple hundred cards, and I'm still making them now and then, maybe about once a year, and sometimes I do it in the winter, and sometimes I do it in the spring. Wherever I feel led, I go to my deck, and I give myself a little chunk of time, like an hour or two, and I sit with them and I go through them one by one, and I weed. It's called you may call it weeding out, where I take out a card that no longer has energy for me right now, and I keep my cards in my mother's sewing basket, which is a stand-up piece of furniture, and so I keep the reserve deck on the bottom, and like one time I did this and I found, oh my God, I have like 10 cards on mother-daughter or mothering. And so I've been going through a phase in my life where I was working with that, and the fact that I didn't have a great nurturing mother. And so I was adding a lot of that into my deck. And it was fine for then, but then I realized I don't need 10 cards. So I probably didn't have 10, I maybe had 6 or 7. But I just spread all those out in front of me and picked one and left it in my deck. So, I mean, everybody's process is going to be different as far as what you take out. So that keeps my deck manageable. And it's very true. You will make some cards that after a while they won't need to be there.
Right.
And sometimes at the same time that I do that weeding out, I also weed out the reserve deck, because some cards that I put away several years ago or last year, they might now have meaning for me again, in which case I can put them back into the top part of the sewing basket. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
There's a way to manage it without you having to have like a wheelbarrow to carry all your cards.
Right, and I don't want to feel like, oh, I need to stop making them because I clearly have, stacks and stacks. So if I felt the need to keep making them. But yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, you could spread them all out on a bed or on the table. One facilitator or a friend I know laid hers all out in the backyard like a quilt. There was just a number to make a huge square, and she said it was a very powerful experience to see them all at once. And if you, I mean, she wasn't doing that, I don't think, with the intention of weeding out her deck, but I think you could, if you saw them all like that, you might see, oh wow, I have 3 for my inner queen, or I have 4 for being a grandmother, and I don't need that many. Or you might decide you do need that many, and that's okay. You're the only one. So what about putting words on these cards? Nobody's asking this, but I do want to address it. And we strongly suggest that you don't put words on these cards, simply because the words activate the left brain, which tends to get in the way of our intuitive right brain. The words put a label on the card. So even, I might, if I had put the words rebellious child all over this, or I don't want to, you can't make me, any kind of words like that on there, when I draw it in a reading, that's the first thing I'm going to see. And I'm just going to go to that label. And I'm going to kind of miss sometimes some other things that might be happening. Like this woman in the lower left corner, she might be saying something else to me that doesn't have anything to do with being a rebellious child. Or the rabbit might be really speaking to me about being vulnerable and needing protection. So it's a good idea not to put words on, but again, it's not a rule. There are no rules. It's just a guideline and a suggestion. I do have some words on several of my cards, and I know Sina has a couple, so it's okay. Sometimes you need to. Some people I know make a whole suit for words. They love putting words on cards, so they make a suit with the words. And then, so they've got them in a certain place. They've got them. And that's okay. A suit for quotes, where you put the quote on the card and then put some images on around it that remind you of the quote.
So I have another question, Anne-Marie.
Good.
Just because I'm so new, I've just been making cards, just gathering my images and just making them pretty much intuitively. I made one card intentionally that was to honor my mom. But I'm missing a lot of the cards that I'm reading Sina's book, and I don't have my source card yet. I don't have my observer card yet. So do I need to sort of make sort of important cards or be working towards that? Or do I just let this evolve very organically? And when those cards come, they come. And if I don't have my wounded child card or my source card for 2 years, it doesn't matter.
That's right. The last thing you said.
Okay, doesn't matter. Good.
Yes,
Good.
definitely. The best thing is to let it happen organically, and then let all of the left brain information, about the suits and the source card, that we'll talk a little bit more about them next time. But I don't want to get into all that right now, because I really want, especially people that are brand new who are listening in and participating, I want them to really just go for the intuitive parts. But what you want to do is let that left brain information from the book about the suits and the transpersonal cards, let that inform you while you're being intuitive with the images. Like now you've read the book, now I might like to make a source card and a soul lessons card and a witness card. And I might like to make a card for the archetypal mother. And so you've got that in the back of your mind. And while you're looking for images, you might find one and go, oh, I want to use that for my source card. But not like go spend 5 hours looking for.
Right.
Sort of like a beautiful meld of intuition and the left brain and the right brain. If that makes
okay. Good. Thank you.
sense.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. And what I haven't done this, but what some people do is if they know they want a card in their deck because they want that voice to speak, like wounded child, but you haven't found the images yet. You take a mat board and write the word wounded child on it. Or stick a sticky note on it that says wounded child and put it in your deck. So that way, when you're doing journaling or reading or daily readings or whatever, you might still draw that one, and it still can speak to you even if you don't have an image on a card for it. It's still a part of you that has a voice. Yeah,
that's a good idea. Yeah.
And it's really a good idea for including community members, people in your family or friends, people who've died or pets that you love that you want to include. But those cards come very intentionally usually, and you need time and you need photographs. And so until you have time to make all of those, you could put them in your deck by just putting their name on a card and having it in the deck. That way, if you go to your deck and ask a question and you happen to draw your mom's card or your dog from when you were a child's card, they can still speak to you and give you their love and their wisdom without you having to have a card. So are you all ready to make cards now? You ready to make more cards? Those of you that are here, I know you've already made cards, but I know there's new people listening in. So a word to the new people who are listening in, and that is we have a Facebook group going. If you're not on it, let me know, AnnMarie@kaleidosoul.com, or just send a reply to the email that I sent you with this recording link in it. And we want you to, be on that Facebook group, interacting with each other over the next couple of weeks. If you come up with a question after you listen to this, or if you're starting to make cards and you get stuck and you want some support, just post something there. You can share any cards that you actually make over the next couple of weeks, or any cards that you've already made that you want to share. Please post them. If you don't have that access, just send me an email and let me know what's going on with your process. We're meeting again on May 30th, and we'll be doing some journaling, so getting to know, going down a little deeper, doing some journaling with one or two of your cards, and we'll be also talking about the suits and how to creating a deck. So your home play between now and May 30th is to gather as many images as you can, and again, that is the most important part of the process, is trusting yourself to just take the images that you're drawn to, and not criticizing yourself if there's a woman holding a knife over another woman's throat, not beating yourself up because, oh my God, there must be something horribly wrong with me if I'm drawn to that. Just taking it and trusting yourself that it's okay. Taking all the images that are calling to you and getting a big stack. So gather images, make cards intuitively, or make them intentionally if you need to. And then, post them on the Facebook group, or share them with me via email. So, and actually at the beginning of the next class, you'll have a chance to, share here with a video by holding up any cards you've made, and, telling us about them if you like at the beginning, or you can just stay silent and watch. So any questions about the home play?
Hi, it's Linda again. I was watching that video by Susie, was it Walfer?
Mm-hmm.
Used what she called temporary glue. I don't know what.
Yes, I think it's, I don't have one up here. They're downstairs with the supplies. It might be Scotch brand. It's called a repositionable glue stick.
Okay.
And it has, the glue inside of it is the same glue that makes the sticky notes stick together, so you can peel them off. And so some people, well, you saw how she used it to move the images around.
Mm-hmm.
Pick it down and see, oh, do I like that? No, I don't. But you can pick it up and move it. And then when you got it the way you like it, then you use, a permanent glue.
Okay.
To hold it.
I have another question. I don't know how to do the R on SoulCollage, the
Oh, yeah.
trademark, right? How do you do that?
That's a good point. If I can't remember how to do it on Mac, but I can look it up for you. But if you're on Windows, if you're on, an IBM compatible and you're in Microsoft Word, you use the upper left parenthesis, and then you hit R, and then you hit the upper right parenthesis. And then when you make this, when you hit the space bar, it goes boom, there's the little R. It doesn't work in email though. You have to copy and paste.
Copy and paste.
In email, I'm talking the upper parentheses, right R, and then the right parentheses works in Word, like a Word document or a PDF file.
Okay.
And if anybody is on a Mac, if you email me, I'll go look it up, because there's a simple way to do it on the Mac too. That's a good question. Anything else come to mind before we close? So I'm going to close. Our closing blessing is based on the quote that, the words by Meister Eckhart that I used at the beginning. So listen to them again. A human being has so many skins inside, covering the depths of the heart. We know so many things. We don't know ourselves. Why 30 or 40 skins or hides, as thick and hard as an ox's or bear's, cover the soul. Go into your own ground and learn to know yourself there. So that's our closing blessing. I send you out into the world of SoulCollage. I invite you to go into your own ground and know yourself there. And thank you for joining us, those of you who joined us live and those of you who are listening later. And please feel free to email me any questions in between.